time to strap in and get ready.
The leaders in AFL SuperCoach are incoming, helping you win your leagues and climb up the rankings.
You're now listening to the Insight AFL Show with your hosts, Big Horse and Skitty.
Good evening and welcome to the Insight AFL Show. I'm your host, the SuperCoach Horse. And for those that joined us previously for our members Q&A, you'll know that Isaiah Wanganeen Malera's nickname is now Wangamaneen Manera, according to IJ. Very, very funny man. But Hurls, how you doing, mate?
I'm really good, mate. I'm looking forward to this one. This is the biggest week in SuperCoach. We've got to have our 5-week plan sorted. We're going to attack the buys. We're going to make some ground. This is what SuperCoach is all about.
Absolutely. I can't wait, mate. And we've made it a bit of a focus within the Patreon, especially this year, to not get too carried away with trade-in targets, trade-out targets, whatever it might be, but to consider these buy rounds so you've got some flexibility throughout these crucial next 4 weeks, because it is moving round, isn't it? Or moving time.
It is. It's one of those things, and I famous last words, but for the past 4 years, I've halved my rank each year during the buy rounds. Wow. And so I really do look at these 5 weeks coming up, and there's 5 this year, and usually it's only 4. And plan around them, and I'll show the people at home what my plan looks like now that it's here. And I've been showing my team each week and what we're doing week by week. But for today's episode, we'll do it a bit differently, and we'll show the 5-week plan and what that looks like, what it's going to do for my primos and rookies on field each week over the buys, and what that will mean for my end team. Which, I mean, things can always change when you're going out 5 weeks. Let's be honest, but you got to have some plan.
100%, mate. 100%. Tonight's episode is going to be brought to you by The Standard Squeezer, helping you drink responsibly and conveniently. You can go to the website, thestandardsqueeze.com, and use the code IFS2025 to get yourself 15% off everything in store. Let's get into it, Hurls. So here we have your team, mate. So as it stands right now, for those that are listening on audio, Hurls will go through his team, but his team at the moment has, in defence, 4 keepers, plus Matt Roberts and 1 rookie on field. His midfield has 5 keepers and 3 rookies. His rucks, he's got his 2 keepers in Max Gawn and Tristan Cherry. His forwards, he's got 5 keepers plus Marich. His flex, he's got 1 rookie. He needs 6 upgrades. His rank is currently 5,300th. The target is inside the 1%. And you've got 16 trades left. Is that right, Hills?
16 trades, bugger all cash in the bank. I think it's $7,000, which is the conundrum. That's the hard bit. So what we'll work through tonight is, how do you calculate if you've got enough money? Because I get asked a lot of questions, and you do too, Horse. People will put and I'm sure they will tonight in the comments, should I go for Matt Rowell or Noah Anderson, right? And there's $100,000 difference between the two. That's right. It's really impossible to answer the question depending on what your 5-week plan looks like. Like for some people, you might, if you're asking me just those two equally, I'll go Nando's every day of the week. But if you can only finish your team with Rowell, then this is the time of year to really consider the cash you've got available at your disposal by way of rookies, and how you're going to get these last 5-6 keepers that you need to finish your team off.
Yeah. How you going there, Skull? If you've got Twitter, mate, send me a DM. I'd love to have a chat with you, mate. You come up with some very funny stuff. So, exactly what you're saying, mate. It's, structure-wise, buy-round-wise, it is very crucial. And this year, I'm going to say it's been like no other. What is it? It's over 80% of the rookies or players that we would consider a rookie in SuperCoach have scored well in their first 2 games and then shit the bed, or not been chosen in their 3rd game. And cash gen has probably been as tough as it's ever been.
Yeah, it's one of those things. And Cooper Simpson's the perfect example, right? Like everyone jumped on him either last week. I went the week before and went early.
Yeah,
thinking finally we've got a rookie that's going to make us the 150 that we usually budget for.
for sure.
Bang, first contest, does his shoulder, out for 8 to 10 weeks, and now he's a dead rookie at 143K. So he's made us like 30 grand only. It's just been the story of the year. The rookies, either by the sub vest or by being omitted or by being injured, have just been a disaster. And it means that we're all faced with a really interesting sort of way of considering our final upgrades. And I know when I look at my final team, and we'll show everyone that in a minute, I was banking on not too many fake primos, but I'm having to settle for some fake primos because you got no choice. Like, and I'm talking fake primos here, like Callum Mills, Kitty Coleman, keeping Matt Roberts, like those decisions I would rather not have made, but the cash gens just force that. So,
100%, mate. Like it has been terrible. But for those, I'm going to call out the trolls on social media that wanted to get stuck into Cooper Simpson for a 0 in their Supercoach sides. Fuck me. The bloke had a crack at a contest, came off second best, came off absolutely worst, smashed his shoulder, having surgery, 10 weeks out, weak as piss, be better. It's a fucking game. No need to take the social media and take the piss out of these players. So while we do like our rookies scoring well, there's no place in this community for people that want to be trolls. So you can basically fuck right off. Let's start with your defenders, mate.
Yep. So defenders, I'm actually, it's really interesting when you look at them because I put up there that I only need one spot in defense, 3 mids, 1 forward and 1 flex. But I am actually buying more defenders than I thought. And so what's going to end up happening, and I'll show you where I'm planning to go. My end team's going to have a few defenders in the midfield, being Sinclair and Sheasel. And that's because the bargains in the next 5-week stretch all sit in the defensive line. So what I'm planning to do, for those of you who aren't looking at the video, only listening to audio, my plan of the 6 ins from here are Tom Stewart, who's cheap. I don't want him, but he's cheap, so I have to. Bont next week when he's off his bye, so around 13. Coleman, if he's on the bubble, in round 13 as well. Wanganeen Miller off his bye in round 14 because he's a legitimate primo and he's going to be underpriced. Butters, who's another legitimate primo, who's underpriced the week after that. And then the last one being Callum Mills. If his suspension stands, he's on the bubble in round 15. I'm going to wait till round 16 because he's got a 60 odd in his cycle. So I've budgeted for him to only go up about 15 grand. So I'm going for those 6, where usually at this time of year, what I'd be recommending to people is go for your, the big dogs, go for everyone. So I'm having to make some choices of, I'm going for three guns in Bont, Butters and Wanganeen Miller, and 3 value guys because that's all I can really afford. With a little caveat, and I've set up there that at the end of my buy rounds, I'm going to have 3 trades left. And if somewhere along the line I've misbudgeted or some rookie goes up more than I expected, etc., then I will use another trade. I'll go down to 2 and I'll make Roberts into an Anderson or a whoever else, Max Holmes or one of those other more bona fide keepers, so that it's 100%. Not too bad.
So for those that are listening on audio, we've got a little graph up on the screen that it says the end game. I had to take a second look at it when Hurls brought it up on the screen before. I'm like, mate, that's a really nice side you got. But his cut and paste skills are pretty elite. So he's got his total value of his 13 rookies sold is $3,700,000. The total cost of 13 purchases, being 7 keepers and 7 rookies, has been $3,698,000. 3 trades left you're hoping to have at the end of it, Hurls, for injury, suspension, what have you?
Yep, for whatever. Last year I came out of the buys with 2 left, and I said to myself, I'm never doing that again. I want at least 6 next year, and I'm going to land on 3. So I'm getting a bit better than last year, but still nowhere near where I would like to be. But it is what it is, right? Yeah,
100%. So Zorko, Wanganeen, Malera, or as our man IJ would say, Wanganeen Manera at D2. Lockie Whitfield. Lockie Whitfield's an interesting one. Let's talk Lockie Whitfield, Winnie Blues, or the man himself, Ryan, from Astute Newstead, who personally sponsors Lockie Whitfield. Use the promo code INSIGHT for all your residential home loan needs. He played half forward last week, scored 82, got 3 coaches' votes. Kingsley has come out and said that there's potential that he will stay in that role.
Hated it. First time since 2022 that he didn't have a
That's
kick in a game.
Yeah.
It was shithouse. It was no good from Supercoach perspective, but he got 3 coaches' votes, so they enjoyed it. Now, do they go that way every week? I don't know. I think there's a chance that they'll try it again. If you're not an owner, I think this is the conversation. I've had Whitfield since about round 4 or 5. I think I bought him.
Mm-hmm.
So that's fine. He's been good to me. He's got some good scores, so I'm not worried about it yet.
Yep.
But if you're not an owner, I would hold fire buying him and just see what the next few weeks looks like. I wouldn't be jumping on just yet, even though he looks cheap. 566K is value for Lockie Whitfield.
147 break even this week.
Yeah, but if he's going to pump out 80s playing this half forward role, and unfortunately this is the problem when you get to the second half of the year, and I'd love to have a bit of a look at Whitfield, Sheasel. Everyone would have seen that Marich is in my trade outs this week, only because, not that I don't think he could go back to that Seagull role, but I can't afford him to lose cash because the cash is so tight. So I'm choosing to punt him now just in case. But all these guys who are not playing the roles that I want, I'm now stuck with. I really can't do anything with them. The only way I'd be able to move on a Whitfield or a Sheasel is if I get to the end of the buys and I've got a luxury trade, no injuries to the finals or something like that. That's the only time I'll be able to move them.
For sure. Callum Mills. So you've got him there as your D4 as one of these potential fake primos, as you'd call him. So is it a blessing in disguise that he got a week and therefore will not increase in money for another week?
For me, yes. Because his buy is round 14, I think it is. So he now, let's say he misses this week, he plays round 13, 15, and then you can buy him in round 16. I think that's the flow. Or if he's round 15 buy, he plays 2, and then you can buy him after that. So yeah, it is a blessing if you were wanting to wait for him. No, he's played 1, so yeah, he will go up in price in round 15. But I'm waiting the extra week because now his price, he got a 69 on the weekend. So his price isn't going to get out of hand even if I wait that 1 extra week. So yeah, it's good because it's a little bit longer. If he played this week and next, it would have just meant that I'm risking a price rise that I can't afford. And that's those who are looking at the visual, you'll see the asterisks that I've got next to a lot of these guys. The ones with the asterisks on the left-hand side of the rookies that I've made some estimates on what their price will be when I sell them. And then obviously on the other side of the equation, there's a few here that also, are estimates like Mills, etc.
Yep. How do you feel about bringing in Tom Stewart?
Nervous. So I think Tom Stewart's an interesting one. I heard a few people today, and I watched the Phantom's Lair, which I'm liking that podcast this year. It's pretty funny. But Dossie on there is sort of going, no way, I can't buy him. Because if you had Stewart at the start of the year and, he got that score of 100, then he got injured, then he was a laid out, and then he came back and got 260s and you sold him, it's going to be a really hard sell to tell you to buy him. But if you didn't have him like me, I'm looking at Tom Stewart 423 and what he can produce, and I'm saying that's extreme value. So for me, I'm nervous because of his body, but I'm also going, well, I ain't getting somebody else at 423 that might pump out hundreds every now and then.
That's right. Yep. I think there's real value. Now, we're into round 12. So for most teams, there'll be 11 games left of the year or the SuperCoach season. I'm about to tell you that in those 11 games, as it stands right now, Geelong play Gold Coast, who are in the top 8. Geelong play Brisbane, who are in the top 8, and both of them are in Geelong. And then the next top 8 team that they play None. They play all the bottom 10 teams for the remainder of the year. They've got West Coast. They've got Essendon twice at the MCG and then down at Geelong. And we know how injury ravaged they are. They've got Richmond twice, once at Geelong, once at MCG. They've got GWS. They've got St Kilda at home. They've got North Melbourne. They've got Port Adelaide at home. The run that Geelong have, like, for me, like, I stacked up, so I call it a stack. 2, 3 or more players of any one team, I call it a stack. And I've got a stack of Fremantle players at the moment in Jordan Clark, Caleb Sarong, and Andrew Brayshaw, sorry. I'm very, very tempted to take the Geelong stack right now and go Holmes. Mind you, there might be a bloody tag coming here and there. So be it. Tom Stewart, Bailey Smith. They've all proven to be very good SuperCoach scorers and playing against those bottom teams who, a lot of them, they've got their own top draft pick, the back end of the year, and especially into finals, like, they're probably not going as hard as other teams might be. Does that mean Geelong are going to rest players, or does this mean there's potential for massive SuperCoach points for the Geelong Footy Club?
I think both. I think, and this is where the buy planning really does come in. I didn't really want to buy Tom Stewart because I can't afford, and you'll see in a moment what my buys look like. Round 16 is my difficult buy, which I structured like that on purpose. So buying another Geelong guy wasn't really on my plan. But I can't pass up this value. Like, if I did these numbers, and everyone at home watching this, I would highly recommend do something like I've just done with get your next, if you're planning to use 12 trades over the next 5 weeks, let's say, get your 12 rookies that you're going to trade out, add them all up at the price you think they're going to be sold at, get the 6 primos that you want to buy and add their price up, and then add 6 rookies, whether you use 120K or whether you do a mix of 120 and 99, whatever you want. Like, I was really specific about how many 99s versus how many 120s, etc. But do that equation so that you can know how many primos you can afford at which price. If I did that equation and it left me $100,000 in the bank, I would be buying Max Holmes this week, not Tom Stewart. But I just couldn't. I couldn't fit it in. So that's sort of the thing that you can do when you do the actual numbers. You can then make proper plans rather than these week by week plans that mean you're stuck at the end with a Kerno like I was last year.
Yep, spot on. We do see questions in the chat, ladies and gentlemen. We will get to them when we finish going through Hurls' team. Kitty Coleman. Is there a bit of a red flag given that he was rested after one game, or do you think this is part of the process in him getting back to playing constant senior footy?
Again, a bit of both. He's just too cheap to pass up, though. And so if he's and you'll see in my buy planning in a minute, I'm planning on buying him in round 14 because if he plays this week, that's when he'll be on his bubble. But if he's out again or whatever, I just push that back an extra week, right? He's in my 5-week plan. It's just a matter of when. And that's only because of the price that he's at. $270 for someone who I'm pretty confident is going to get 70s plus is much better than having a rookie sitting there like a trainer who can pump out 30s. Now, if it comes to the end of the year and if you look at my team, its real weaknesses are Holding, Mills, Coleman, Roberts. One of those scores is going to drop. So I'm punting every week that 2 of them are going to get a decent score. Ideally, I'll be able to trade one up as well. Like that would be the best plan, to be able to only have 2 really risky ones. I guess you could count Caleb Daniel as risky too, as we've sort of said on this show a little bit. A few weeks ago, he was looking dodgy as, but you know, I'm stuck with him too now. So it's not ideal. There's a few fake primos in there, but what I've tried to do for balance is I've tried to target the best of a few of the lines. So I'm going to end the year with Gawn, Sherry, Bont, Butters, Brayshaw, Merritt, Neal, Dacos, Zorko, Whitfield, Wanganeen, Miller. So I'm trying to bank on the ceiling scores covering for a few of these fake primos. Huge. Alex Pearce has gotten off at the tribunal. That'd be the first time anyone's got off this year. Yeah, I thought it was an interesting one actually, because he did motion and he moved his arm. It's a hard one to really know.
So, disclaimer as well. First one to get off that isn't a Carlton player, so he probably used Carlton's lawyers. Yeah, good work, Palscum. Does holding trainer hurt you, or do you just not see him moving, or because
he's going.
Okay, I went to the Essendon Richmond game and seeing him go forward, I immediately thought to myself, "Fuck, I haven't moved him quick enough. I'm going to lose cash here."
Yeah, no, he's out. So for me this week, and what I'm doing this week, and this isn't what you have to do, but it is certainly what I'm doing because my cash is so tight. I'm trading my 3 outs this week, not negotiable, Marriage, Bice, Trainer.
Okay.
Because they're the 3 most volatile that could drop 40 grand if I let them play one more game.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't afford that. So rightly or wrongly, and Marriage might end up staying in a seagull role and be good for people to keep all the way through. Like ideally, I would love to keep Marriage till he's bye and just take a bit of a gamble.
Yeah.
But the problem with that is if he gets 70s between now and his bye, he drops to about 410, 420. And I just haven't got that 60,000 to play with. So I'm just going to take
It's difficult, isn't it?
The
You've got to
option
take a
to
punt.
get rid of him. Yeah. So that's
Yep. Do you want to go back to your team, mate, so we can go through who you've got at the moment?
Yep.
So we've got Brayshaw, Neil, Merritt, Petraka, Dacos, and then your 3 rookies, Ashcroft, Lindsay, and Hewitt at the moment. Hewitt is a interesting one. So he's got the role. Like he had 40 SuperCoach points at the end of the first quarter last week and still finished on 57.
Yeah. He had a negative third quarter. He was flying at halftime on 49 and then negative 7 or 8 third quarter. I at the end of that game, I thought Hewitt's going to be an out this week. My outs were going to be pretty obvious. I thought it's going to be Bice, Trainer, and Hewitt. But what has happened is Hewitt has a break even only of 53 or 54.
That's
and
right.
So that's why I'm holding him and getting rid of Marriage, only because of that. I'm trying to make the decisions in order of cashing out based on which ones I'm most certain of holding their value. Yeah, and look, the other thing with Hewitt is 279, 800 at the moment with a break even of 53. I hope he flukes at 90, right? And then he's even going to make that extra 10, 20 or 30 that I wasn't budgeting for. Yep. That's the upside. If he gets a 50 though, then he'll just be gone in round 13.
Yeah. Xavier Lindsay and Levi Ashcroft, probably the pick of the rookies this year, you'd say?
Yeah, the ones in my team. Zach Reed, for those of you who are selling him this week, he's probably been the best. Pepper Pig was good early on. There's been a few really good ones, but the ones that I've still got, definitely Ashcroft and Lindsay. Lindsay has been really interesting. He's made about 155 so far, probably makes another 20. And he looked dodgy for most of that, but he looks his best now. So maybe like Melbourne have improved. He's improving with them. It's one of those ones that if he keeps scoring well, him and Ashcroft would ideally be the last of the rookies that I move. But it just depends if I need their cash and when that is, whether it's round 14, 15 or 16, I'll have to weigh that up.
Yeah. And then we see the bench pretty similar to most people's benches, I'd imagine, in the pencil, Hustwaite, the box, and Bo Allen. So it was nice to see Box come in, even though he was sub last week. But he actually played all right in that last quarter, Hurls.
He did. He looked good. I really hope he gets a game. For selfish reasons, I'd love him to make another 30 grand. But more for him, I think he added something. I think he looked all right.
I think he looks all right.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to try to second guess Ross, but I'd be playing him for sure.
He's too busy giving Gold Coast the Nepo baby slander.
Yeah.
Isn't he? Mind you, Leo Lombard is locked in for a debut this week, so very interesting to watch there. Yeah. Bo Allen, we hope that he comes back and makes a little bit more cash as well. as for Hustwaite, fuck, it's hard to see him getting back now, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm viewing those two as done.
Yeah.
I'm not budgeting at all for Hustwaite to be any more than 168 grand when I sell him, and Bo Allen will just sit in my team all year. He's the Zach Reed of 2024, where he just sat in my D8. Well, this guy can move into M11 every now and then, but D8 M11 just sits there for the whole year, I reckon.
Yep. Yeah. Well, there's not much more to it, is there? Tomorrow night, too, ladies and gentlemen, the mid-season draft. For those that are coming into the AFL, Essendon may take 2 or 3. There are other clubs. Carlton are another team with a few long-term injury as well, or people that are suffering long-term injuries. We're going to be covering them in our round 12 preview. So we'll quickly go over who we think's relevant, who's not, and help you out at home if you need to downgrade into a 99K defender sooner rather than later. Your midfield, mate. Sorry, your rucks. Cherry and Gorn, set and forget, done.
Done. Not even looking at them. That's locked in. I think that the only thing to mention on that, I've seen a few people saying, how do I get I've got Sherry on a bye. I've got no ruck this week. This week's best 18. Forget about your ruck. Just leave it. Like take the blue dot. Hopefully you've still got 20 to pick from, and you get an 18 of those 20. Like you don't have to have every line covered, so don't worry about it. That's
right. Spot on. So we can see there you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 on the bye.
4 on the bye this week.
Covering it easy.
Yeah, I've got 4 what I would call keepers and Vicentini.
5.
So I'm actually playing with 21 because I've got a ruck short that can't be covered and a flex that can't be covered. So I'll have 21 players this week.
Yep. We do know it's best 18, so that's okay. In your forward line, mate, we got Bailey Smith, Chad Warner, Isaac Rankin, Matt Kennedy paying the bond tax, Ryan Marrick, and Caleb Daniel. The Caleb Daniel Harry Sheasel scenario is pretty interesting, isn't it?
It is. And because I've got both, like many people, it's almost like every week you're robbing Peter to pay Paul. What we have to hope happens is really for SuperCoach, forget about for North for a minute, but for SuperCoach, ideally what would be good is Sheasel goes like last year where he really got used to that half forward roll and he still scored 100s. And Daniels then got the back line with Hardiman to himself and they piss Fisher off. Because then Daniels stays a 95 to 105 guy. Sheasel gets back to that 100 guy and then it's happy days. The trouble this week was Sheasel had 2 centre bounces and he just didn't get any of the footy. But Collingwood are a hard team for that type of player to score against. So I don't expect the half forward rolling up role is bad, but it's not a 63 bad. He's still got his 20 odd touches. So I still think he can score better than 63s in that role.
Yeah, I think you're right. Talk me through Marriage, mate, or talk to people through Marriage at home. So you're getting rid of him this week.
Yeah, reluctantly, I'm getting rid of him. Now, last week he played, I think it was only about the first quarter in his usual role at Seagull. And they had to shift a few things around. They obviously had the W train. Waterman got injured. They seemed to move Marriage up to a wing and half forward at times, and he was lost. So part of me sort of says, if they look at that and they say he was lost, maybe they go back to putting him as the Seagull again next week, and they replace Waterman with someone else, etc. And he goes back to what he was doing before. In which case, he would be a good hold because he could be your flex for the rest of the year or something like that. The trouble with that is, they're rumoured to be picking up this halfback flanker as number 1 pick tomorrow night, who we think will get games, not round 12, but certainly round 13, 14. He should be in the team. If they bring him in, we know that Marriage has been the first one he moved this week when something needed to be moved. Does he move him again? Now, if he does, he's useless to us. And then it starts burning the cash he's made. So I think I'm just taking the safe option and trading him. Yeah,
I think you're right. Waterman's done for the year now too. So does this now mean Oscar Allen has to stay forward. Like we've seen him go back for little bits and pieces this year. Archer Reed up forward. Like Ryan Marich was that lead up half forward last year. Does Mini go, well, fuck, we've got no one forward of the ball. Adam, on your bike up forward. Go and get the hard ball again. And then it destroys all of his cash generation. For those that are inside our Patreon, we have CWT, he's known as on Twitter, or X as people call it these days. He's joining us for a podcast tomorrow to go through his side and what he knows about the West Coast Eagles and how they're shaping up. So be sure not to miss that. I'm a bit in your boat, though, when we're talking about Marich, mate. I think, yeah, there's just a bit of uncertainty around him. In a draft league, you can afford to hold him. But when you're talking classic at 483K, that's a lot of coin that you could potentially spend. I see Global in the chat throwing up Isaiah Wanganeen Malera. You spend, what, 25K to get the Wang? That's a no-brainer to me.
Yeah. And look, I was probably having to torch one of Marich, Daniel, or Roberts to afford Bont.
Yeah.
And so this probably just makes, like, I was probably leaning towards Daniel because he's on the bye. It was going to be, all right, get rid of Daniel and bring in Bont in round 13. But I think this has just forced my hand. Now I'll go Marich and just say, lock in that. He's done his job. He was 200 and I think I bought him at 260. So I made 220 grand out of him. Some people who bought him at 220 might have made 260 grand out of him. So, you know, are we asking too much for him to be a keeper? Maybe. So maybe we just go stuff it, cash him in.
Yeah. Darley, I did see that opinion on X, mate. We will be discussing that tomorrow. So something definitely to look forward to. Vicentini in your flex, is he staying this week or is he going?
No, he's staying. I think I can squeeze 30 or 40 grand out of him. So he's got GWS after the bye, then he's got Max gone. So I'll see what his break even looks like after playing against Briggs, assuming he's in. Obviously, if he's not in, well, he'll go. But I'm holding him this week. I'll see if he's in the team as solo ruck and he can make 20K against Briggs. I'll see what happens after that. Like he was actually really interesting. He was on 9 SuperCoach points at halftime. The game was wet. It was a shambles, right, for big men. Jackson absolutely gave him a bath, but he scored 50. What's that make it? 55 in the second half.
Yeah, it did. Yeah.
And so just by maths, I have to keep him now. And we'll hope to squeeze another 30 or 40K out of him.
And I've been corrected in the chat, mate. It's not Vision tiny. It is Vision fucking massive, or Vision isn't so tiny.
There you go.
Yeah. Do you want to go through to the next page that you had there? So according to the graph that we've got here on YouTube, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to come back and have a look at it, you can if you listen to us on audio. I'm going to go through the endgame, which is the team that Hurls hopes to end up with, given the lack of cash generation that we've had this year. And that is from defence, Zorko, Wanganeen Malera, or as we now know him as, Wanganeen Manera, Winnie Blues, Lockie Whitfield, Callum Mills, Tom Stewart, Kitty Coleman. Midfielders, Brayshaw, Neal, Merritt, Sheasel, Dacos, Bontempelli, Sinclair, Butters, with Gawn and Cherry in the rucks. Smith, Chad Warner, Isaac Rankin, Christian Petraka, Matt Kennedy, Caleb Daniel, and Matt Roberts as his 23 on field.
With a little asterisk there that I hope I can turn Roberts or Coleman or Mills, whichever one is the most unreliable of those three, into a different 23rd primo, but that's cash dependent. If I can do that, I will. Yeah, because you're going to have blokes like, and this is going to sound really stupid coming out of my mouth, but Pickles is going to be cheap as all hell by round 17.
Mid 450s, yeah.
Absolutely. So you might have guys that you can do a straight swap Roberts to that are more reliable, but I'll make that call after the buys.
For sure. Have you got another page there that we're going to touch on?
Yeah, last one. I wanted to just show people the 5-week plan, because I'm big on when you're doing your planning this week and people say, should I pick up X player or Y player? My answer to most people is it depends. Because if you haven't done those calculations and you haven't done the maths and you haven't done a 5-week plan, it's really hard to know which player you can afford. But what I've tried to do here is show everyone who can see this visual each week what I'm doing, and particularly how I'm attacking the buys. So you'll see this week my trades are most likely Marriage, Bison, Trainer out, and in will definitely be Stewart and Gray, and the other one will be either McAuliffe or Neil from Geelong. And I haven't made up my mind yet on that last one. The reason that I want that 280, 290K bloke is I want this third trade to be a quick injection of 75, 80,000. And so McAuliffe's got a good negative break even. So does Neil. I think they can probably both make a quick 70 grand in 3 weeks. And so that's in my team, that's really needed. So that's why that might look like a weird trade, but that's the third one. It'll leave me 270 grand.
Quick stats for you, Hurls.
Yep.
Shannon Neal, he's got a negative 33 break even. Without Dangerfield in the side, he averages 103 SuperCoach points per game.
Yeah.
With Dangerfield in the side, he averages 48.
Yeah.
Dangerfield still has 1 week, I believe, before he comes back from his hammy.
Yeah, and they play West Coast this week, so
That's
you would
right.
think both his time at full forward and as backup ruck should be good. I think they've got a bit of a tough matchup the week after, and then they've got Essendon. So against Essendon, he could also Essendon got no backup ruckman and full back. So I was going McAuliffe all day, thinking this is the way I'm going because he's got the centre bounce role now at Richmond with Thomas Dow injured for 4 to 6.
Yep.
But the fact Geelong don't have a bye till round 16 and the matchup, it might be better for me to go Neil and hope that he makes the 70 in 2 weeks and then punt him. So I'll just have to weigh that up.
For those that are looking at McAuliffe 2 Hurls, Prestia played in the VFL on the weekend, and it is believed that he will be picked again in the AFL this week, which may affect his CBAs.
That's right, and that might make my mind up for me. Like I'm choosing between those two guys, and it's all about quick cash gen. So I don't care how long they last. I just need 2 weeks out of them at the best possible score to make the quick 70 grand that they might make. So it might mean that I swing and go the other way. So then keepers on the bye for me this week are 4. I think that's okay compared to some other teams. I was hoping that was going to be 3 because I was going to get rid of Daniel, but I'm now keeping Daniel, so it's stayed 4. It means I've got 14 keepers and 4 rookies that I'm relying on for my best 18, and I've got 13 trades left.
Yep.
But here's where my team starts attacking the buys, and I've set it up this way on purpose. Round 13 and 14, you can see the trades I'm going to do, but I'm planning on using no rookie scores in round 13, 14, 15, all keepers. And so I'm hoping that this is where I can really attack through round 12 to 15.
Absolutely.
My round 16's a little bit hard because I've got 7 keepers now that I'm bringing Stewart, but I think still with 16 and 2, I should be okay. So my plan of attack, I'll know by round 15 if it's worked or not, because I want to make up. I'm 5,300th now. If I'm not back in the 2,500 mark by round 15, it hasn't worked.
Yep. I really rate that you're out here. You've put it all out for the social media world, for YouTube, for Twitter, for X, whatever it is, for the whole world to see. So you've been open and transparent with what you're doing, and you're actually showing this is who I've got, this is who I'm trading, this is the cash in the bank. Yeah, you're going to be left short with 3 trades left by round 16. But if you've got 23 keepers by this stage, 22 counting, and you get a bit of luck with injuries and what have you, you could have a dream run home.
Yeah, and I think you got to break the SuperCoach year up into some different phases. The reason I'm only going to have 3 trades left isn't this 5 weeks. It's my first 11 where I stuffed around a bit too much with some sideways stuff. I got rid of some blokes. Like I bought Callahan in and he shit the bed and I got him out and all this kind of stuff. So my trading has hurt a little bit, meaning I'm left with 3. If I had 6, I would be really comfortable. Now, I'll also put out there for people watching, yes, I'm in some cash leagues. Yes, I want to win some leagues, etc. But my primary focus when I'm attacking SuperCoach is overall. And so I'm really aggressive through this period. If you couldn't give a toss about your overall rank and all you play SuperCoach for is to brag over your mates, to beat them in leagues, don't do this kind of plan. Hold back some trades. Make sure you got trades left for round 21 when the finals hit, because that's how you'll beat your mates, because there'll be some in your leagues who are doing what I'm doing and are stuffed by round 21. And so I think you got to find what's your little way of playing and how do you attack it. This is the way I'm doing it. But if you're playing predominantly for leagues, then probably attack it a bit differently. Maybe don't use, like I'm using 13 trades over 5 weeks. Maybe only use 7 or 8 if your focus is leagues and leave some in the bank.
Spot on. So we see round 13, that's where Bont makes his appearance for the first time on your side. Hewitt, Lindsay, Stone on the way out, leaves you 40K in the bank. McAuliffe is only really a 3-week, 2-week buy for you.
Yeah, so McAuliffe or Neil,
Yep.
they're only 2. Now, I'm saying that they're going to come in round 12, out round 14, and I've budgeted, I think I budgeted for McAuliffe to be 350, so he has to make 70K. If the break even says hold, especially if I go Neil, because McAuliffe's on a buy, so it was logical to trade him in round 14 anyway, because he's on a buy. But if I go Neil instead, it probably is more flexible, because it means if his break even still says I can squeeze another 15K, I might hold him off till round 15 and just swing a trade in a different order. So it's all like you got to have a plan, but you always got to be a bit flexible too. If the break even next week tells me Hewitt should stay an extra week or Lindsay should stay an extra week because they're going to make extra money, I'm looking for this extra cash, because that means that I can go Roberts to maybe to Nando's right at the end of the year. So I while I've got this idea in my mind of order, it all does depend on cash gen. If I can squeeze an extra 20K out of a rookie, I will.
Yep, 100%. 15 or round 15, Ashcroft, he's done his job by this stage. Boxall, hopefully he's played a couple of games by this stage. Butters and a rookie in. And then round 16, Simpson. Here's an interesting one. So I did a little bit of digging today, Hurls.
Yeah.
And in the last, what will it be now, 13 rounds, 12, 13, 14 rounds, he only plays a game earlier than Saturday night twice.
Okay.
So if you've got someone from free, a fantastic loop option, which gives you ample opportunity throughout basically the rest of the season, bar 2 rounds, for your captaincy loop option.
Yeah, and you'll see on my calculations there, after my trades, I've only got $7,700. So I need him gone in that week unless someone else has made more. Like, this is where it's all flexible, right? In my mind, Simpson trading out is useless. So what's the point? I may as well just leave him all year. But when I did my calcs, unless one of these new rookies, and I'm going to, and I'm talking about the new rookies in round 14, where I'm getting 2 of them, round 15, I'm getting 1 of them, or someone like Boxall making a bit more, maybe who else might make a bit more? Maybe Hewitt makes a bit more, maybe Kako makes an extra 10 grand. If they make that extra little bit, because it's only 145, Simpson's going down to a 99. So if those others make 40, I'll just hold Simpson then. Won't matter.
Yeah. Yep. That's right. And we are getting 99K rookies tomorrow night too, Hurls. So
that's right.
Like there could be plenty still to play out with plenty of money to save. So
I think it's absolutely certain that we're going to get games out of the West Coast bloke. I can't remember his name.
Bo Allen.
No, the number 1 pick. He'll play for sure. McCarthy, is it? I think his name's McCarthy.
Yeah.
I think he'll play for sure at some point. So he's one that we'll probably trade into. I think Essendon have to give us one. Essendon have, whether they play Thursday night or whether they wait and play the week after. I'm not sure, but they'll give us one. So I think there's going to be 2 or 3 viable 99K guys that don't need to make cash necessarily, but they might be really nice to have on your bench, that if you get a 1 week injury to someone, you don't have to go trading out somebody when you don't.
You could just sub in a 50 or something and just wear it.
Exactly.
Yep. So we will cover that tomorrow night. We won't be going live, at 6:30 when the draft starts, but we will be doing a review of the mid-season draft at 8 o'clock when we do go live with our round 12 review show. So there you have it. You've got Hurls' team, what he hopes to finish this year with. And here we have his bye weeks and what he plans on doing. So if you are listening on audio, jump across to YouTube. And even if you want to take a screenshot, have a bit of a look and see how he's worked it all out, then feel free to. It's there for you guys to use at home, thanks to our man, Hurls. Mate, you want to get stuck into some questions?
Absolutely.
All righty. We'll give the people what they want.
It's question time. Let's answer your questions for the week ahead.
Frankie, Reid to Holmes, trainer to Gray if named, 307 in the bank for Bont next week. He's playing that well.
Reid to Holmes, trainer to Gray. Yep, sounds good.
Yep. What do you think of Caleb Smith from Richmond?
Oh, he's a conundrum. I tried to ask a few people in our chat yesterday, like, what do they think of both Smith and McAuliffe? Because they were two that were on my mind. He's only 127K. I had him in my first team picker back in bloody whenever it was, February, January, whenever we started. The Richmond supporters seem to hate him, but he doesn't need to be that good to make money. So I'm torn because I don't know him. I don't know what his job security is like. With Trainer moving, to me, it seemed logical that the reason Trainer's not there is Caleb Smith is. So will he get 3 or 4 weeks and be able to make us 120K? In my head, it's yes. But when I ask people, they keep saying that all the Richmond supporters think he should be out. So I don't have a good read on that part of it.
So we've got Bolter coming back this week. We've got Lynch coming back this week. Prestia potentially coming back this week. Uze did come out in the media and say that he wants to try and play Gray forward as well. So even if you do pick him and he doesn't play back, he could still be in the team as a forward. So that may be something to look forward to. But here at Insight, we do ask the hard-hitting questions, Hurls. Skull wants to know, do you actually have a silver top?
I've got a taxi parked out the back. No. The reason my name is what it is, for those of you who don't know. So my favourite player back in, whenever he first started back in the early 2000s was Michael Hurley, Bombers. So Hurley. And in his first season, he got into a bit of trouble with a taxi driver at the Footy Show Grand Final, after the Footy Show Grand Final.
Right,
and so I changed all of my Twitter handle and everything like that back then to Silver Top Hurley, and it's just stuck ever since, and I haven't changed it.
Yeah, right. Now, was there Corey's put down here that Bolter doesn't play this week because it's an interstate game, but they start at 4 o'clock in Sydney. That means they'd be done by 6:30. He could get to the airport by 7:30.
I don't think he's playing.
He's not.
I don't think he's playing. No, I think there was a bit of talk early in the week that Richmond were going to try to ask if they could make some concessions for travel and stuff like that. But I haven't heard anything since. So unless they get an exemption or some special consideration, I don't think he's playing. Because I think is it a 4:15 start, the game, I think?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Loved how Longmuir, after the game, gave Cooper Simpson a massive rap in front of the boys, took one for the team and set the tone for the rest of the game.
Yeah, absolutely.
Darley, is Sam Berry worth a look? 285K, averages 90 without Crouch in a full game. No. Sorry, mate. I know that you're inside the top 1,000 at the moment, Darley, and you're the second best in your family, right behind our man Armoured Frog, but nah, you can't do it, mate. It'll set you too far back, and mate, we want to see you do well. So
you got to remember that this week Tex was managed, and so that meant they shuffled a few things around. They brought the young kid back into the 23, Draper, because otherwise Berry probably would have been sub again if Draper didn't come into the 23.
Yeah, that's right. Sorry, I was just reading some comments here. Cooper Simpson did this to us because of the lack of standard squeeze merch on Hurl. I'm going to cop this every show,
episode.
Now, you're coming around 24, aren't you?
Yep. Danny and I both will be around 24.
Yep. Skull, you better be around, mate. What we do with the Insight crew, we'll be heading to either the MCG or Marvel Stadium, where we all catch up as a community, have a few beers, and throw around some banter and all that sort of jazz. Hurls will be receiving some form of gear. It will probably be Insight gear, though. Or maybe some standard squeeze gear, too. We'll see how we go. Reid, Marich, and Cleary to Holmes, Gray, and Wangamanera.
Yeah, love it. I mean, I guess the only question I'd ask you, Benny, is do you need to go Wanganeen Malera this week, given he has a bye next week, and he's probably going to be 515K the week after? So just that's the only question. That I love the player coming in. Just when you bring him in is the only thing I would ask.
Yeah, for sure. Baz, thoughts on Jeremy Cameron, fellas? Well, with the fucking run they've got, but you know what I think here, and I'm scarred, but that's because Charlie Curnow last year, they had a magic run, and he shit the bed as a key forward. Do I think Jeremy Cameron could score well? Absolutely. But after last year and going against my initial rule of not having any big key forwards in my side and then bringing in Charlie Curnow, I think I'm too scarred to be able to do that.
I agree. I'm scarred by the same move. The other thing that worries me a little bit, if you look at Cameron, I'm just trying to bring up his stats. He's kicked 7 goals last week and got 108. And 6 goals the week before, or 114, sorry, and 108 the week before when he kicked 6 or 7 as well. If he has a couple of games where he kicks 3, which is going to happen, then you're back to your 70s again, and then he's got a 48 sprinkled in, a 36 sprinkled in. It's not for me. I get it. It's probably the type of move you might make with your 23rd primo. Not yet for me.
Big Kev, okay, boys, I have 5 round 16 primos. If I get Stewart, it will be 6. Is this too many? Thanks. I think 6 is okay.
The answer is yes, but you can't. I'm going to have 7, Kevin, because I can't pass up the value. And when I say I'm going to have 7, I'm including Coleman in that as well. So I currently have 5. That was going to be my max. My rule of thumb is 5 max. But then I can't pass up these 2 guys at their price. So, and you can make it work. If you assume that by round 23, you've got 22 or 23 primos, if you've got 6 missing, well, you still got 16 or 15 to play. So as long as you've got 3 rookies that you can rely on for your 50 each, I think it's okay.
Our man Deadly, who's all over rookies and all things in the VFL, Waffle and Sample, Jesse McIntosh. Remember the name.
Okay. Cryptic, is that remember the name for like next year or for Deadly's charge in keeper in 2097 or?
Oh, geez, I don't know. For those that don't know, Deadly came to Melbourne last weekend and we went to the footy, Essendon Richmond, had a few beers, had a good time. He made his debut performance on KO Freebies on Saturday night, commentating with Bendigo Braves versus Mount Gambier. It was. Was it Mount Gambier? No, it wasn't. It was. I can't remember who it was now. Anyway, and then on Sunday he went to the footy and dressed up in Gold Coast gear.
Did you get 4 weeks suspension for that?
Well, we haven't heard from him since, have we?
Diamond Valley Spud, he's just said.
Diamond Valley, that's it. Yep. That's the one. Who are the downgrade options for this week? Should we trade this week? I think Gray's probably the number one cheap option. Richmond supporters don't like Caleb Smith, even though he's only 124K.
Isaac Keeler is a shout.
If
you thought Ross was going to keep him in the back line like last week, he scored 60-odd. He's an option, but again, do you trust that? There's a few. I think the other thing you could do is you could go early on Clark, who's definitely going to play, but because I want to have one for next week, I'm not going Clark early. I'm waiting for the week after for Clark.
Yeah, gotcha. We spoke about this earlier. I'm thinking Wangamanine Manera is a decent option at 515k this week. He is, but he does have the bye next week, and you could probably get him at the same price in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah.
The Skull, Kerry O'Keefe himself. Is Luke the cyclist peddler? Dad joke. Due a shout. Yeah, he is. I had him in my pre-season team. He's absolutely got the ability to punch out 70s and 80s. And if what did he get, 79 or something last week? I've been keeping an eye on him anyway.
Is he going to play, though?
Yeah, I think he does. He's got a lethal left foot. And across half forward, he adds a little bit to that Adelaide team. He's just had a really shit run with injuries. And I believe it's a contract year for him too. So he's basically playing for his AFL career at the moment, I believe.
I don't know if I want to see what happens when Tex comes back and what they do with the squad.
Yeah, okay.
But if he plays the 3 or 4 games that you want from him, then it could be okay. I mean, they're a potent forward line, right?
Yeah, they are. Deadly. They should get rid of Keys for him. That's what I think anyway. Hawksy. Hey, mate. Following this week, 12 trades left, have 2 forward rookies and Flynn on field as last important upgrades. Still have Marich, Daniel, Roberts, Long. Otherwise, all primos. I'm the same as you, mate. I love the fact that I went early on Long and he's repaying the faith something fierce right now.
Yeah, Long's been fantastic. I think the only thing I'd say, Hawksy, is this week's the right week to start making decisions on those 4 and whether you're keeping all 4 all year or not, because then you can start calculating, like if you're factoring in you need 3 upgrades and you're keeping all of them, well, you might be able to afford the best of the best, right? And just keep the rest of those other blokes. But then how are you getting them? If you're keeping all them, do you have the rookies to cull to get your upgrades? It's just about the 5-week plan. That's all. Yep.
Here you go. Our man is just about to take off to compete in the World Series of Poker in Las Vegas,
lucky
Nevada. So our man, here you go. Jeez, fuck, I hope he does well. Can we trade in Clark early rather than trading in Gray? Clarkfield, my man, jeez, he was super.
I'll tell you,
on Friday
the only thing better than his game on Friday night was his bloody interviews ever since. He's a cracking lad. That has been
he's a down to earth lad, and something that it's well known that we're both Essendon supporters, mate. Let's not hide that. But I think the most pleasing thing as an Essendon supporter is one where we're blooding youth. So 7 people will have debuted after this Thursday night. We've got Zach Johnson debuting this week. But the people that they're bringing into the club are high character people who are good people who train hard, all that sort of jazz. They've got the right mentality. They've got the right personality. And once you get the off-field stuff right, then the on-field stuff the on-field success will follow. So it is a period of transition for the Essendon Footy Club. We say flag dons, but it's a bit of tongue-in-cheek. It's because we haven't won a final in fuck knows how long. But I think finally the club's now moving in the right direction and not settling for just being mediocre.
100%. And I think the other thing they bring, I was having this conversation with someone on Twitter today. We lack 3 characteristics in our whole squad. There's not too many of our players who have competitiveness, gut running, and the mindset to switch on when you're not around the ball. A lot of our players are good when the ball's near them and then they switch off. And every single draftee last year, including the one that's coming in this week, Zach Johnson, have those characteristics. I think the club absolutely know where they're at, and that's why I'm really loving this year. We're going to get flogged for the next 5 weeks. It's going to be real ugly, but I'm going to love watching Roberts play. I'm going to love watching Clark play. I'm going to love watching Johnson play. So it's going to be bloody good. To answer your question, Higo, you can go Clark instead of Gray, but I would argue you need more than one rookie over the next 5 weeks. And so I think you need both.
Mm-hmm. For sure. Shayna Hooper, hello and thanks for joining us. Evening, lads. Keen on your thoughts on a sub 500k pod in Wits. Did I not bring this up to you last week, my man?
Yes, you did. I'd want to know a bit more. Are you talking about for the ruck line or are you talking about for the flex line?
If people don't have
as a flex.
If people don't have Gorn, if they've just got Cherry and they're sitting on like a Nan Curvis or something, or a player like that, I think not Gawn. I think Witts is a fantastic play.
See, I look at it a bit differently. If I don't have the big two, then I wouldn't trade the other one. Like I don't think there's going to be that much difference between Witts, Marshall, who was the other bloke you just said, Nankervis, D-Cam, TDK. I think they're all in the same sort of bucket. So if I am getting up to Sherry or Gone, go for it. Yep. Or if your question is because you want a third ruck in flex, go for it. But if you're going to go from one of those rucks in the next tier and just shuffle, I think you're wasting a trade.
Can confirm. The name Dante reminds me of a West Indies opening bowler from 1975. Huge boy. You'll have to tell us what that was like facing some of the quickest men that ever bowled a cricket ball, Skull. Pete, how are you, mates? Our man from way, way up north in Queensland. Deadly rocks the Suns gear. Pete, you can have him. Shit ass by him.
Pete did reply to one of my posts today. I posted or retweeted the scenes from Liverpool with they were singing "You'll Never Walk Alone" and the flares, and it was just. And I'm not a Liverpool fan, but I thought it was amazing just watching it and just the sheer madness, blokes climbing trees and all of that. And Pete did reply and say he remembers when the song actually came out in the '60s. So it was good, Pete. I loved that version of it though, with the blokes up the traffic lights and the trees and all that today. It was good.
Shayna says Witts for flex. Sorry.
Flex.
For me,
I like that.
I don't mind it. Yeah.
Yeah. I like that. I think the 3-ruck strategy is still live and some people might be off it now because it's burnt them in the first half of the year. I think it's a really viable strategy for the way home. So if you want someone like that for the flex, I think it's a good move.
Is Caldwell a good shout for a M9 at 429k?
Oh, if you can do that.
He is. If you can do it,
If you can get Caldwell at M9, your team is flying. I can't afford to do that. The other thing for me is I've got Merritt, and Essendon's run is bloody hard. They're going to get beaten for the next 5 weeks, and then their finals run is pretty tricky too. So I'm reluctant, but only because I have Merritt. If you don't have Merritt and you want to go Caldwell, he's great value.
Something that hasn't hit the news that our Northman has just texted to us. Wardlaw has signed a big extension to stay at North Melbourne, so that'll pump out in the news sometime soon.
Good player, Wardlaw.
Yep, love him.
I wonder if his nose has stopped bleeding from the weekend. They struggled to get that fixed up, didn't they?
Yeah. Sensational plan. Good to see a visual of your team hurls. Gives me something to do while I work from home tomorrow.
There you go. Always happy to help.
Bloody oath.
I did mine while I was working from home today. So,
Skull. In other news, is Squiddy still alive? Yes, he is. Squiddy will be back soon. He knows where we are, and he's a great man, our Squid. And our thoughts and prayers are with him and his family, and we hope everything's all good in the world of squids. Ahmed Frog, do we think Huss is cooked? Yep. Unfortunately. Teams are named before the mid-season draft, though.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. We're still going to get them, mate.
Yeah, Essendon have got approval that if they draft someone that they want to play, they can name them on Thursday. So no other club will, I don't think, play a player from the draft, not this week. But Essendon, and his little watch, if Essendon do pick the young bloke Hurl, who's on the VFL list,
he'll come
key defender, 190 odd centimeters, because he knows the system, they might bring him straight in. But I don't think they'll bring another bloke from another club in either. The other shout I heard today, and I don't know if Essendon, this is not mail by any stretch, it was just some Essendon supporters having a bit of a chat. Adam Tomlinson's nominated. I reckon he would be a great one for us to pick up because he knows the AFL system. He could.
I don't think he'll be that cheap, though.
No, but not for SC. I'm talking about for Essendon.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Yeah, he won't be an SC option.
No. Corey, when is the right time to use my last boost? If you've still got one, you can trade 3 times now, right throughout the bye rounds. So imagine having a boost in round 18 or 19 up your sleeve, Hurls.
But here's the reason I wouldn't hold it. And this depends, Corey, how many trades you've got left and how many trades you're planning to have coming out of the buys. If you're like me and you're planning to have 3 trades coming out of the buys, the boost is useless because you're not going to use all 3 in 1 week. I'm going to use them for injuries, right? But if you've got 8 left, then maybe a boost is handy at the back end. I'd be more inclined to use it one of these 5 weeks, though, where you need to do sort of a double downgrade, double upgrade in the 1 week. But I've been saying all along, I don't think boosts are any use to you anymore. So use it whenever you think fits best for your 5-week plan. For sure.
Here you go. Pickles is the type of guy who gets nervous and quiet when he goes live on a podcast. Oh, wait, that's just IJ. Pete, not much love for Depot babies. No, Rossi doesn't like you, does he? Oh.
It was. I think it was all calculated, wasn't it? Like the president had a shot at the AFL for all the concessions back in his speech in November. Now Ross is going with it's all just calculated because St Kilda are not happy about being pushed back from pick 6 to pick 10 every year, which is going to happen to them again.
Yep. Wangamanine Mundine, legend of an Aboriginal sportsman, Mr. Mundine. We used to call it. We had a thing back in the day where we'd scull beers, and when we did it and we'd finished, we used to yell out "mundane" and just start wrestling with each other. You blokes don't care though, right? Best buys at or below 550k for a defender, mid, and forward. Ignore buy structure.
Oh, one for each line.
Yeah. Max Holmes.
Let me have a quick look. Defenders.
Off the top of my head, I'll go Max Holmes. I'll go Nando's. Noah Anderson. Ford. Interesting. I'd probably wait a month and pick up Pickles when he drops to about 450k. And then I'm big on Wits as well, if you wanted to play the 3 ruck strategy. I'll
go Nasiah Wanganeen-Millera for 515. I'll go Zach Butters in round 15 when he's 540k. He's not yet. He's 585 at the moment, but he'll get there. And forward, that one's a bit harder. Yeah, Pickles is an option, even though I hate saying that. Who else? The other one might be if you're going to buy McRae back if he shows that he's back to 120s. Yeah. Maybe. They're probably the ones.
Frankie, what's your thoughts on John Noble as a pod? Constant hundreds. Sometimes you need them in your team. Just you know what you're going to get out of them.
Yeah, I don't mind it at all. I don't have enough Gold Coast. I've got 0 at the minute, and they're going to be bloody at the pointy end, and I like having team players from good teams. So what is he? 521k, averaging 100 on the knocker. It's a good shout. Yeah.
How's the skull? The West Indies opening bowlers look like they had cricket bat handles down the front of their pants. Trav, thank you for the $2, mate. Appreciate it. Don't know if mentioned, but Jeremy Cameron for 438k. I think personally you can have your bid after me, Hurls, but I got burnt last year by Charlie Curnow, and in this space, it scares me to go on someone like him. Geelong have a super, super run home. Like it is probably one of the easier runs that you've seen for AFL and SuperCoach ever. Like they play the bottom 10 teams, and the 2 teams they play that are inside the top 8, Gold Coast and Brisbane, they both play them in Geelong. So it's very, very favourable for Geelong. I just don't like picking power forwards or tall forwards. So I think in Jeremy Cameron's case, if you've maxed out your forwards, your mids, your defenders, you could potentially use him as a flex, and then you can take his spike 130, 140, 150 scores. But then if he does pop out a 50 or a 60, then it might be okay.
Yeah, I'm not a key forward fan either. So I wouldn't be going there, but I get why people will. Like I'm going to Tom Stewart at 423. I'm probably picking up Mills and these other guys who have injury risk. But I think I'd avoid the tall forwards.
Yeah. Deadly. He's got some whispers from his West Coast Eagles contacts, and McCarthy is almost as certain as locked in and could play Sunday. Let's hope he's added to the app.
They've already committed to him, and they knew that on Sunday. So there is a chance that because it's a Sunday game, he could. And even if it's not this week, it's going to be the week after, I reckon. So he's one we'll be looking out for.
You're right, Pete. Skull never fails to crack me up either. You've got some fan mail, Hurls. Hurls girl. After you're done tonight, can you help me with my team, Hurls? I think I need some tweaks.
Yeah.
I can help you right from the start, Hurls. The less Collingwood players you got, the better that you're going to go. There you go.
There you go. There's a tip.
Yeah.
I'm
far enough away not to be punched.
I can't help with her team because she's already ahead of me in our cash league, so I don't want to give her any more assistance.
Unreal. I think that's going to do us for tonight, Hells. We've been going for roughly an hour 15. Where can the people at home find you should they want to discuss all things footy?
Twitter's the main thing, or if you're a Patreon, even better. If you're in Patreon, we chat daily in there about all sorts of things SuperCoach.
For sure.
Twitter's got a little bit more of a mix of Essendon plus SuperCoach plus other random stuff, but you can find me on there. Same handle on that you can see on the screen there.
Yep. Mate, I do want to bring this up before we finish because it is a talking point that I'm not going to say that it's dividing the community, but I think his prior history of going missing at times hurts him. But Cozzy Pickett has been fucking unreal lately.
Oh, he's a jet. I think Melbourne are using him to maximise his ability now. He's running through the middle. He's losing his midfielder going forward. He's playing that crucial role, the centre forward that they coined a few years ago to steal from soccer. So I think at 500k is a punt you could take. Are you a pod chaser? If you are, go for it. If you haven't got Petrarca or Kennedy and you think Pickett is your differentiation, I don't mind it. Again, I'm a bit reluctant because I look at the name and he's someone that could be a guy who's in my cash league as well. And if that's you, Mark, and you're in my cash league, then I'll give you a bum steer and say, no, don't pick him up because you might beat me. But otherwise, I think it's a good move.
Yeah, absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do us for tonight. As we are on the Insight channel, we're all about breaking the stigma around mental health. So it's not weak to speak, and it's okay not to be okay. So if you're feeling down, talk to your mates. Message a loved one. Message Hurls or I. Anyone within the Insight community, we've all got each other's backs, and we do have a really good group of people. So if you're feeling down, go for a walk, call a loved one, as we said, text someone, just get it off your chest because I'm more than happy to spend half an hour talking to you, texting you, or whatever it might be, rather than spending an hour at your funeral talking to your friends, your loved ones about the memories that you've had. So please, my inbox is open. Hurls' inbox is open. It is okay not to be okay, and it's not weak to speak. We'll see you tomorrow night for our round 12 review, or preview, where we'll also go through the mid-season draftees and how they're going to benefit your side moving forward this season.
I'm not sure why this came up, Horse, but hi to Andrew Hayes' wife. Apparently, we need to say hi to her. So, hello.
Mrs. Hayes.
Everyone else.
All right. Take care, everyone. We'll see you tomorrow night.